Hi folks, here we are toward the end of another week and I am ready with your questions and your answers. I have so many. I want to launch into it right away. You guys provided me with such great questions and I want to try to answer as many as I possibly can. So first of all, thank you. And here's our first question from Norma Hernandez. She asks, how long have you been living in Texas and where else have you lived? I've been in Texas since 1974. We moved here when I was 8 years old. Prior to that, we lived in Lafayette, Louisiana. My father was a naval architect, and so that brought us along the Gulf Coast, and he got into the oil business as well. Prior to that, Miami, Florida. That's where I was born. So thanks, Norma. Lilia Merwin says, what is your one beauty secret? Sleep. Next. Denise Marie asks, how did you get to have a YouTube channel? Tell me about your job and how you manage your day. The YouTube channel came about, funny enough, I receive questions from viewers all the time about hair, makeup, wardrobe. That's just the nature of being a woman in the broadcast business. It really doesn't matter what you say or how you say it. People tend to hone in on your appearance. So I always took the time to answer everybody's questions. And with the advent of YouTube and a lot of people here providing content, I had a few people suggest to me, why not do a YouTube video series where people can go through your database, get the answers to questions that they're looking for. So I initially started doing a smoky eye makeup tutorial literally on my cell phone like this, you know, doing one of these, and I posted it and the response was so great that that led to the inception of my YouTube channel. And a friend of mine here, Leanne Says, who's a big YouTube vlogger, gave me the idea and we ran with it. So there you go. The next question was, how do you like your job and how do you manage your day? I love my job, love it, which is why I'm still there. I think it's a blessing to do what you enjoy in life, and it's important to do what you enjoy. The nature of the material that I talk about, not so great, but I feel like I am providing a service to my community if I can impart some information that is helpful, useful, and you know, and guides people. So that's why I do what I do. And managing my day, well, it's a juggling act sometimes, and I always strive for balance. Some days better than others, but I feel it's the law of the averages. So if I give enough time to work, family, children, I have a listening ear, I'm present and attentive, then at the end of the week I can assess and say, okay, overall, not so bad. Nicole Romero writes, again, balancing wife, managing your home, cooking, cleaning, health, and spiritual life. She says, I feel like I'm great at a couple of them, but the rest just falls by the wayside. And Nicole, that plays into really what I just mentioned. You're not going to be great every day, all the time. It's impossible to give everybody equal parts of attention, time, effort, and devotion. But again, if you feel like at the end of the week there's been balance in your life, if you feel like you have prioritized, given important things the time and attention that they deserve, and that's the key there. It's determining what is most important, getting that list in priority and in order, and devoting your time, effort, and attention to those things. But most importantly, there's an old saying, you've got to put the mask on first before you can help others. So take care of yourself. Make sure you're well rested. Make sure that you're eating well, you're making time to exercise, because if you fuel mama, you can fuel everybody else. Let's see. Sandra Pineda asks, what are your favorite novels, classics, and today's favorites? You know, good question. I tend to read a lot of self-help, how-to books. I really like self-improvement. That's just been my thing. So I don't divulge in a lot of novels and fantasy reading. Although I have during the summertime devoted some time to escapism. So last summer my go-to book was Gone Girl, which was such a great read. And then recently my neighbor just gave me this one, The Girl on the Train, which I hear is a phenomenal book, and I'm about ready to dive into this. So I would probably say one good novel a summer, even though we're past summer, I'm still going to call this my summer reading. Other than that, pretty much self-help books, spirituality, improvement, order, structure, wellness, health. Those are important topics to me. Regarding some old classic novels, I've read some Ayn Rand literature. In fact, my name came from The Fountainhead. Dominique Franklin was the heroine in that book. So there you go. Hope that answers your question. Amber Elster says, I would like to know if there are any other YouTube channels that you subscribe to and that you get great tips from. There are some phenomenal YouTubers out there. I wish I had enough time to hang out and watch everybody, but I do like Emily Noel very much. She's the beauty broadcaster, and it's neat seeing somebody else who has roots in my business parlaying that into a YouTube channel. So kudos to her. Like I said, my friend Leanne says also does great work, and she skews more toward the younger crowd. But you know, there's something for everybody on YouTube. And what I'm noticing is that a lot of you reach out to me and say, thank you for being here. It's nice to have somebody my age, my demographic, and in my lifestyle doing content that suits me. So it seems like there was a void of 40 plus YouTubers providing a lot of information out there. So I'm happy to be in that category and to be here for you. Makes me feel good. Teresa Sunstein says, you don't have any wrinkles. Is there a secret? Yeah, okay, you're funny. My secret is good genes and sleep. The end. Julia Brown says, I would like to know how you make the blended family work. Also, how did you meet your husband? Great question, and I get lots of questions about blended families. And here's my suggestion. It's a sensitive subject, and not everybody's experience is going to be the same. I will tell you this, I have been gifted with just incredible stepchildren. They are great people. They are loving and kind and took me in so quickly, and it just made the process incredibly easy. At the same time, I'm very respectful of my role in their lives. I will never overstep boundaries. I will always be there for them in whatever capacity they want and need, and I let them set that pace and determine what it is that they need from me. I don't ever want to impose on them or make them feel uncomfortable in any way. At the same time, I believe that structure and order is incredibly important. And so their father and I are a team, and we set rules and parameters within our home within which everybody has to operate. So one of the first things that we did was we came up with a draft, a plan of house rules. This is what we expect of you. We won't ask you to do something we're not willing to do ourselves. So we lead by example, but we set rules. We even printed it out and handed, house rules to everybody and said, here you go, keep a copy in your bedroom so you know what's expected of you. But I think that children need guidelines, they need structure, they need to know that you are working with their parent as a team, and therefore you can't be penetrated. Nobody can work sides. This is what we've set up, and I think structure is so important for children, discipline, and for them to know what's expected of them and the consequences that are in play if they don't do what's asked. I don't believe in yelling and fighting. I think it's a waste of negative energy and time. Here's what we want you to do. You follow the rules. Everybody's happy. We live in a very peaceful, productive home. If we don't follow the rules, here are the consequences. It's all spelled out. So I think that makes it very simple. But that's the key to our blended family, and also importantly, my husband and I get to serve as role models for how a healthy marriage can function. We get to show our children a loving marriage, a happy marriage of two people who are committed to each other, who are true partners. And I think being able to show children that is a blessing. So there you go. Abigail Ann says, if you could wear one makeup item only, what would it be? And what is your favorite color? If I could wear one makeup item, it would be just a BB or a CC cream, just to have moisturizing tint sunscreen on my face. That would be it. My favorite color is red. And the reason why is there is no shade of red that a woman couldn't wear. There's a red for everybody. So red is the universal color, and it works on me and it works on you, and that's why I like it so much. Every woman looks great in red. Darling writes, how do you deal with somebody who puts you down or makes a terrible remark about you in front of others and to your face? Darling, I wish somebody would say something to my face. What frustrates me more than anything is what I call keyboard courage. And it's where people can write whatever they want online under the veil of anonymity and feel like they can say and vent and spit out venom. And it makes me sad that people choose to operate at such a low level. It's not my job to correct them, to get back at them. You know, I always believe that what you put out in life is what you get back. You put out ugly, you're going to get back ugly. You put out kindness, you're going to get back kindness. So my way of dealing with it is I choose not to deal with it. I don't address it. I have no platform or forum for it. If anybody chooses to say something nasty or ugly in a public forum, I will delete and ban. I've set up certain key and code words, filters, so to speak, in social media platforms where people tend to get a little nasty. So things won't even show up on my pages anymore if certain words are included. It's not to say that everybody can get filtered. Some things do get through, and when they do, I just I delete it and I don't let it penetrate. I've been in the television business for 23 years now. Believe me, I've seen it all. I've heard it all. Nothing gets under my skin. It's just an unfortunate world that we live in when it comes to social media and people just being able to say what they want. The people I really feel for is the younger generation, because they don't have the skill set yet and they don't have that thick turtle shell to not let those nasty words hurt. So I find it very tough on them, and that's unfair. Denise Marie, do you do your own makeup on the set? Where did you learn your tips and tricks? Yes, I do. In fact, I have for my entire career, my own makeup, hair, and wardrobe, which is probably why I have enough content for this YouTube channel. I've never had anybody do it for me, provide it for me. I've certainly had makeup artists throughout the years do makeup, and I have gotten some tips and tricks, but I find that I know my face better than anybody, and I loved art as a child. So maybe it was my love of art and color that applied to makeup and to this presentation, but it's enjoyable for me. It's an opportunity to be incredibly creative and expressive, and I like that. So good thing, because I have to do it myself anyway. So I'm glad that I can share whatever it is I've learned with you along the years. This is a good one. The Fluffy 1966 says, how about an update on your eyebrow tattoo? They look great, but how do you feel about the process? How many sessions did you have? And do you still have to use makeup to complete the look? I love the brow tattoo experience. I am so happy I did this. I can't even begin to tell you. They have faded a bit, and I still have to use a little bit of pencil to fill in, but as I've mentioned before, this is a 2 and a 3-step process, so it's building, and I'm going back in a couple of weeks for my second tattoo application. But when I don't wear any makeup on, I see a big difference. I actually see eyebrows, and it looks natural, and I'm thrilled. So I can't wait for step 2 and step 3 if it's needed, but so far so good. One of the best things I've ever done, so yay! The next question is by Raim Ismail. You always say be bold. Can you explain from your point of view how to be bold? Great question. I always end my videos with be bold and be blessed. Obviously, we know what being blessed means, but to be bold is up to interpretation. When I encourage you to be bold, I mean to put yourself out there, to eliminate fear and inhibition, to try, to be creative, to open your soul, to open your presentation, to just put it out there. I think that great things happen when we experiment, when we take risks, when we get outside of the box and the comfort zone. So that's what I encourage you to do. You define what boldness is in your life, and then you go out there and try to achieve it every single day. T for me 10, how do you stay positive? I'm 54 and I still struggle with staying positive during stressful times. Great question. I think it's a part of a philosophy where you choose to highlight what is good in your life instead of what is bad. And I think faith plays a big role in this. I always give thanks for what I am grateful for in my life, and I magnify the positive. And I think it helps in times when you're going through something stressful or negative to constantly say, yes, this is happening to me, but thank you. Thank you for the family. Thank you for my healthy children. Thank you for my job and my career. I always will shift my mindset. If I feel I'm getting into a negative mindset, I will immediately turn it around and focus on the positive. And I think it's so important. It's a conscious effort and a decision, but it's one that really gets you through the stressful times. Janet F. says, when you entered broadcasting, did you take a voice modulation class? I never did. I actually started my career in radio, and I was young. I was in my 20s. So when you're younger, your voice is much higher. And I did have to work and train to deepen my voice without sounding unnatural, because that's the key. You still want to sound like yourself, but you want your vocal range to be deeper and broader. So I learned how to speak from, they always say speak from your diaphragm, but it's like reaching from inside your chest and pulling up your air from here to keep your voice out of your nasal cavity, but more in your throat. It does help to deepen the presentation, and I would listen to people whose vocal quality I really admired, and I wouldn't try to imitate them, but I would try to take that as a model and an example, and then bring my voice through to sound that way. So it's really practice with your breath, practice with speaking, and find people who encourage you with a certain vocal quality that you like, and use that as a model to train yourself, because it really is training to get the voice to sound, I guess, like a broadcaster's voice. Debbie Deal says, how did you get the idea to begin with the tutorials, and how long have you been making them? I'd say it's been just over a year now. And again, the idea came from just the repetitive questions about hair, makeup, and beauty, and responding to people one at a time. And with YouTube becoming so popular and so many people here, I sort of feel like I was late to the game, but I'm glad I got here to be able to provide the content. Melissa Thornton says, oh, this is a good one. How do you deal with premenopausal symptoms, emotional ups and downs, and yes, changes to skin tone, etc.? Thanks, Melissa. Oh my God, let me just tell you, I'm 48. And this past year, I started to get perimenopausal symptoms. The most noticeable was night sweats. I mean, I would go to bed and wake up so hot, so miserable, getting out of the covers, and then 10 minutes later getting cold and wrapping myself up. I couldn't sleep. And this was happening for, I'd say, a good 6 to 8 weeks, to the point where I was just going out of my mind. I have been supplementing with bioidentical hormone replacement therapy on very low doses, and I could feel these changes taking place in my body, so it was time to reassess. So I contacted my provider, talked about the symptoms, and started to add a very, very low dose of bioidentical estrogen to the plan. And I'll tell you what, just within a matter of a week or two, my symptoms were gone. So it's, you know, this is a personal journey that we take when it comes to our bodies and menopausal symptoms, and when we get them and how severe they are. I think it's important to have a very open dialogue with your physician, as well as researching treatments out there. I chose bioidentical over synthetic hormones for reasons that I just felt suited me better. So I encourage you to do a lot of reading and research, ask a lot of questions, and talk to a variety of doctors and come up with a plan that works best for you. But it's a game changer, no question. Oh, Animal Rescue Geek, this is an interesting question. What are your thoughts, concerns on the recent on-air shooting of a reporter and her cameraman? Do you think employers should be able to be more truthful in their responses regarding work history? You know, this was such an incredibly tragic case, and obviously it touched everybody in my business, because it happened to people in the business on air. And it's absolutely frightening, but it's really, this is not limited to my work environment. This is every work environment, and it really calls into play the issue of mental health in our society. And we see shootings happening over and over, and when you start digging into the history of the person behind it, there seems to be a thread of mental health issues, imbalances, flags that were raised, and treatment options that probably didn't work along the way. You know, I think in this case, the general manager of that station, they did everything that they possibly could in how they handled this person, the firing of this person, that certain red flags came into play, and they made that decision. But you know, once you no longer have somebody with your company, you can't control what's going to happen after the fact. And this was just an incredibly awful and tragic ending to somebody's mental health issue. And I just think that this dialogue needs to continue when it comes to mental health and how we look at it in our society. Sharon McIntosh says, do you ever struggle with confidence in yourself? You know, not so much, but I think what I have struggled with, Sharon, is I'm probably nice to a fault. And so I haven't been very honest and transparent throughout my life when it comes to truly letting people know how I feel, or if something's bothering me, or conflict resolution. I've shied away from it because I like peace and happy and all of that. And it's been a work in progress for me. So I don't know if it would be a confidence issue, but it's more about being authentic in what pleases me, what doesn't please me. And if I'm upset or bothered by something, I need to verbalize it. So that's my issue, and I'm sticking to it. The next question is by 2424 HVL. I think we've all probably been criticized by bosses, coworkers, maybe even friends. How do you maintain poise when you have felt torn down? My way to maintain poise is other people's word doesn't define me. My word defines me. And how I function, if I have character and I do what's right according to my rules and the rules from above, then that's how I define myself. And I don't let other people define me, and I certainly don't let other people tear me down. I refuse to let other people's word have an effect on how I think about myself and how I function in my life. Because if that were the case, we could easily walk around bruised, tattered, and torn, and that's no way to function in this world. So again, the filter goes up and the wall goes up, and out it stays. Let's see. Oh my God, so many questions. The Swanky Lifestyle says, I'd love to hear your advice on how to remain classy, appropriate, and comfortable without looking outdated or stodgy. My rule of thumb on that is, I think you can have fun following trends, but I think it's very important to not let the neckline get too low and the skirt line get too high. As my husband says, you need to leave something for the imagination. And I think if you play by those rules, you will automatically be very classy. And I think styles and trends that make a woman look sophisticated, confident, and professional always play well. And on the weekends, if you want to have a little bit of fun and play with, maybe lace or a skinny jean or whatever, if you mix a trend with a classic, it's foolproof in my book. Okay. Whew. I hope your question was answered. Nobody asked me, why do you change your hair so often? And you know what? That's a question I can't answer. New haircut, just wanted some more layers. I'm thinking a new hair tutorial is in the works. So if I didn't get to your question, as always, please leave them below and I will try to answer you individually. But I so appreciate what you have to ask. Your content is deep and meaningful. It's about relationships and family and self-improvement. And I think it's wonderful that we're all operating on that level to truly be the best people that we possibly can. So now, as you fully understand my meaning of being bold, might I encourage you to be bold and be blessed this week, and I'll see you next time.